Hi, this is Anna Imagination with the Healing Garden. Welcome to Shifting Perspectives. I'm exploring anger, boundary setting, the defense system, and I'm playing around with that psychologically speaking this last week. Actually, it started when I was in the hospital last week and I told that one nurse no. And he backed right off. And my brain went, wow, that was easy. And it's been, let me try it again. Is the subconscious mind now. That's where my brain is. Let me try it again. And I've been on Facebook, I've been in comments, I've been all over, and I've been saying stuff, and I've been using my voice. And it's very much, this is a stage of psychological development that we all should be in when we're in stage 3. So let me fill you in on what's going on here subconsciously, because this is where it gets really fucking cool. It gets really fucking cool here. In stage 3, when we are looking at exploring our relationship with autonomy versus authority, this is the ethic where we decide that our autonomy and our authority is going to be ours now. There is a third part to this lesson, which is the art of basically giving yourself voice. But instead, the voice is taken away from us. We're told that children should be seen and not heard. And what ends up happening is you have a person with autonomy and authority, and they're muted. When they're muted, they are we actually lose our boundaries when we're muted. When we are muted, we lose our ability to vocalize our needs. So in a lot of ways, we literally lose our needs when our voice is taken away. There's a lot that's taken away from us when our voice is taken away from us. And we never get that back. We rarely get that back. Now, narcissists learn to use it through manipulation. They learn to use their voices through manipulation. And it's very, very few of us, especially those who are significantly abused, where we never recover our voice. So when it comes time for us to communicate again, when it comes time for us to step in and actually use our boundaries, we don't know how. There's a lot of, we really don't know how to use boundaries. And it's just simply using the word no. It's communicating your discomfort. Most of us don't even know when we should be using our boundaries. And the answer is when you feel uncomfortable. Uncomfortable, discomfort is the emotion that tells you you're being violated. Under no circumstance should you ever be uncomfortable emotionally, unless and until you choose to put yourself in a place of growth. And if you are not consciously consenting to the discomfort to push yourself into growth, then you should not be feeling uncomfortable. So if you feel uncomfortable, that is the red flag emotion that something is up. And that's when you should be using your boundaries. That's when you should be communicating. A lot of the places we see this is in conversation. And I'm getting a lot of DMs. I always get a lot of DMs. Women always get a lot of DMs from men creeping on Facebook. And I started using those opportunities to communicate, to identify discomfort, practice by boundary setting, and get better at laying down the boundary. And it goes like this. Creepy guy comes in and says hello. Now, usually right there, I feel my alarm system waking up. I feel the emotion guard. Basically, my guard is up. And it's because I've been conditioned at this point to anticipate them manipulating me, psychologically manipulating me. And 99% of the time, that's exactly what I get. So then it's hello. Every time they're up to something, it's hello. The next thing that follows is, do I know you? Or what is your reason for reaching out? I like to get right to the chase and figure out what they're up to. But this is where they immediately start to lie. They'll say something like, oh, well, I just want to be friends, which is psychological manipulation for, I want to try and woo you or scam you, but I'm going to lie about my intent and use the word friend instead. Now, this goes one of two ways. I'm not comfortable because I don't know this person. But there's that conditional obedience. Conditional obedience. That's a great word. I'm going to write that down. Conditional obedience that kicks in. And suddenly I'm in a position where these people where I'm not comfortable. But I've got conditional obedience saying, give them a chance. What am I going to miss out? What if this is the one true love that I'm looking for? Conditional obedience. So I will ignore the discomfort for conditional obedience. And I will pretend to be their friend until they ask me if I'm married, not a friendship question. And that's really it. That is not a question that friends ask. And if a man tells you that it is, they're lying to you and they're trying to get into your pants. Because I've had many friends and none of them asked that question until 2 hours into the conversation after we've talked about a lot of other really awesome stuff. And that's really the determining factor. A real friend won't start with, are you married? A true friend or one with proper intent won't bring that up until much later because they really don't care, because that's not the forefront. They ask that when they find out in general what your personal life is like, after they've decided if you have like interests with them. See how that works. So the minute you feel uncomfortable, that's when you should be putting down a boundary. This does not make me comfortable. The guy I was talking to last night made a comment about what romance or love movies I make. Now, romance and love are not movies I like. I don't like discussing romance and love. It is absolutely not something I indulge in. For personal reasons, for psychological experimentational reasons, I am talking to this particular person. Again, for psychological development reasons. I talk to people literally just to test my psychological studies and to assess people and learn behaviors. So I'm talking to this guy and he brought that up. And I felt the discomfort. And then I went consciously, I am not comfortable talking about this. I do not talk about these topics. They do not interest me. I set the boundary. I shut it down. Now, this is where we really need to analyze the ethics of the other person. Ladies, are you listening to me? If they respect your boundary, fantastic. If they ignore your boundary, mock you, ask you why, negotiate or challenge it, now you're dealing with a narcissist. Now you're dealing with somebody who has to assert their control and their power. If they turn a conversation into a power struggle, you're dealing with a narcissist. I'm going to say that again. If they turn the conversation into a power struggle, you're dealing with a narcissist. Power struggles look like negotiation, making you explain yourself, telling you to do something simple at first that will be inconvenient to you. Like, let's go over to WhatsApp, or let's go over to Google platforms, or anything like that. They are deliberately setting you a hoop to jump through to see if you'll jump. That is psychological manipulation. And if you tell them no, they will most likely come back with something like, well, why not? Now we're into the negotiations. The minute they start playing power on you, they have started to disregard your boundaries, and they're narcissists. So using boundary settings by tuning into what makes you uncomfortable and then telling them, no, I don't do that. Do not explain why, because you don't have to. You do not have to explain yourself. A boundary is void of explanation. It's like when you walk into class and your dog has chewed the homework, in my case, the cat, and the teacher says, where's your homework? I don't have it. Where is it? Well, and then you give your bullshit excuse or your legit excuse or whatever excuse. You kind of have to explain yourself to your teacher because your teacher holds authority. Explanations are something you owe someone with authority. When you go to a judge in the court of law and the judge is sitting there and they say to you, why didn't you do X? Because they hold the authority, you give them an explanation. When you're late on your curfew and your mom and dad are at home and they're going, where were you? It's 9 o'clock on a Friday night and you know your curfew is 8. Where were you? They hold the authority, so you owe them the explanation. If a stranger asks you why you are rejecting them, they don't hold the authority over you. Therefore, they don't get an explanation. That is the secret to boundary setting. The minute you give an explanation, you are asserting their authority over you. Yes, that's right. Once you know this, you will know that you do not give anybody authority. You have your authority. Does a teacher tell you what she did last night? Does your school teacher, oh, it was 1111. Yay! Sorry. So I just looked up and I saw 1111 and I went, yay! I love this shit. Okay. When you are expecting your teacher to grade your paper and you go to school the next day and you don't have your paper graded and you're asking, where's my paper? And the teacher says, I didn't do it. Do you ask your teacher, and why not? Where's my paper? No. Why? Because your teacher has the authority. So when you are talking with a stranger online, by the way, this is going to get shifted over. This is going to get moved over to predator dating, because this is a really spot on how to set your boundaries. This is really turning into a fantastic conversation on this. So what you are looking at, what you are actually developing, is you are asserting who has your authority. Now, every person has their authority. You've got yours, people, they have theirs, I have mine. Everybody has their authority. There is a massive dispute between parents and children over who gets theirs. Teenagers love to say, I've got my authority, and they should. And parents need to relinquish the authority to children. Controlling narcissistic parents love to hold on to authority and lord it over their children. Men who are narcissistic and men who are toxic, and women, yes, but this is predator dating, so I'm going to say men, love to lord their authority over women that they don't know. Newsflash. If a stranger is pulling the power and authority card on you and you're strangers, red flag. That's why they ask you for, and where were you last night? And why didn't you answer? Or my favorite, when a stranger texts you and you don't answer immediately, so they send you the little question mark on their text to say, why haven't you answered yet? No. Boundary. Massive boundary, because that's a red flag. Now, when you set a boundary for a narcissist, they are going to challenge it. They are going to push it, because now they're in a power struggle over you. Narcissism is all about establishing, claiming, and keeping the power struggle. And this is where I dive real heavy into BDSM to teach you about authority, power, and control. You really want to understand authority, power, and control and how it works? Study BDSM. You really want to understand the power struggle that occurs during narcissism? Study BDSM. You really want to get into the mindset of how to take your own power, your own authority, how to use control over your mindset? Study BDSM. I have a class for that. It's called Zen BDSM, and that's all I do, is I really hone in on, let's talk about authority, power, and control, because no one gets it more than a BDSM master or mistress. And that's what I am. So when you really dive deep into the exchange that's taking place between a narcissist and a stranger, the power control that's occurring, jump through these hoops. Let's see if you pass my test. Oh, you're not going to be obedient? That's what they want from you. Now they're going to question your authority. Excuse you, why? Why aren't you going to do as I ask? Because they're not asking. They're testing you. These are all the little subtle red flags that are constantly being pumped out there between exchanges of strangers and you. I seriously, strongly encourage you to take a snapshot, send it to me, comment, show me the situation, and I'll pull it apart and I'll show you. This is what this looks like. I'll do it. This is the juice. This right here is the juicy stuff. When it gets into that real nitty-gritty power exchange. And the thing is, this was all subconsciously taught to the narcissist by their mother. This is 100% taught to the narcissist from birth. They don't know they're doing it. It's just how they were conditioned and raised. They were raised in this atmosphere. It's a power struggle, except it was the submissive that conditioned the narcissist to be a master. Oh yeah, reverse psychology. Like this stuff is like, I could talk for hours on just this, like 15-minute increments of just this. Maybe I'll do that. I'll do that because this is the sweet stuff. This is where it all just comes together. Is once you understand power exchange and their little tricks to get you into predator dating, this is what it looks like. This is how it unfolds. Understanding what projection looks like, understanding what that looks like when someone projects their own problems onto you, and then you self-regulating. Self-regulating is a really huge one. Self-regulation is such a big, big deal. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. I'm going to rewatch the video and just expand on it, but absolutely, boundary setting is, and it's gold, because when you set a boundary, you do two things. Well, let's break it down. When you set a boundary, the first thing you do is you establish your authority. Now, narcissists don't like that because they want the authority. So you establish your authority. The next thing that they're going to do when you set a boundary is you are actually testing a narcissist. You're testing a stranger to see if they are a narcissist. So when you set a boundary, you are testing, you are fishing for the narcissists. When you set a boundary, the narcissist is going to question your authority. They're going to challenge it. A non-narcissist is going to respect the boundary. So there's two reasons right there why you need to set boundaries. 3, when you set a boundary, you teach your subconscious mind that you can keep yourself safe, and that boosts confidence, self-esteem, and pride. 4, when you set a boundary, you not only groom your self-esteem and your confidence, but you shut down your fear system. You cannot have a fear system activated while you have a defense system activated. Your defense system is your ability to set a boundary. So the better you get at setting your boundaries, the more confidence you're going to have, the more your fear system is going to go, oh, they don't need us. 5, when you shut down your fear system, the fear system is where mental illness comes from. You can't have mental illness when you have a fear system. You can't. You cannot have toxic and limiting beliefs when you have no fear system. All of the things that fuck up our heads come from the fear system. All of them. And the more you use a boundary, the more your defense system builds up, and the more your fear system shuts down. You begin changing the mental emotional environment that cultivates negativity, mental illness, toxic beliefs. They can't function. You starve them out, all because you set boundaries. It's absolutely a magnificent system. Set boundaries. Learn how to manage boundaries. If you love shit like this, go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want more shit like this, and if you want to get access to my daily self-care regimen with meditation videos, go ahead and subscribe to my newsletter below. And if you cannot get enough shit like this, become a member of the Healing Garden. Also, down below, there is a link for your free Healing Garden design journey plan to determine and make sure that your current healing journey plan is well-rounded and filled out. Thank you so much, and may the kindest of words always find you.